Hello, welcome to Unapologetically Speaking. I am your host, Erica G. We are a podcast placing an intentional spotlight on bold and unapologetic leaders in our community. Before we get started today, though, please make sure you like, share, comment, and subscribe below. Help your girl out. Today's intentional spotlight is on my good friend and beautiful boss. I don't want to call her out of her name. Miss Monique Allen. Monique is the CEO and founder of Ma'at Enterprises, and which is a healthcare management firm in strategic partnership with Hospitals Without Borders and Frenetic.
Yes, they are one of our partners.
Perfect. Before we get into what Ma'at does, please tell me, where does the name Ma'at come from?
Sure. And first, let me say I'm so proud of you and this podcast and the things that you're doing for the community. This is amazing, and thank you for having me on the show.
Oh, thank you.
Ma'at Enterprises stands for, it's an Egyptian name based off of an Egyptian goddess, and I came across the information one night studying, and when I started reading, the 42 principles of what that goddess stood for, I felt like it touched on me, who I was as a person, and on my soul. One of the things that I took away from reading those principles is the saying, your heart should be light as a feather every night, right? And what that means is every day that you're doing something, every decision that you make, every impact that you have on the community, are you doing it with integrity? Are you making sure that you're going to sleep lighthearted, or have you caused pain and angst to someone else in the community? Wow. So it was important to me to choose a name that had meaning. A lot of people, when they read it, they think, oh, it's Matt, or it stands for my name, Monique Allen. No, it doesn't. It's Ma'at. And I would encourage everybody to read up on the principles of Ma'at, because that's what the company stands for. That's what I stand for as a person. And we're always developing. No matter how old you get, you should be trying to be the best version of you when you wake up.
I love that. I told you that when I came across it, and obviously I was already familiar with your business name, but when I came across it, it was this random speaker, and he was talking about the Ma'atian lifestyle.
Yes.
Right. And I was like, oh, that's it. That's what she's talking about.
Right.
And so I agree with that. It's very compelling information. It's very thought-provoking and super, super positive. So I love that.
Yes, I would encourage everyone to read up on it. And whatever you take away from it, that's for you. But I think it places like a foundation, for giving you some guidance on how you want to live your life. And if you're struggling with that, if you're struggling with your purpose, hopefully you'll find some guidance, in the words and in the principles.
Okay, so Ma'at Enterprises, which I already mentioned, is a healthcare management company,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Okay, so you guys are working in partnership with Hospitals Without Borders. They supply modular units in disadvantaged areas, or just
It's
pretty
just
much wherever they're needed.
wherever they're needed
around the world. Okay.
So so just to go back and give a little bit of history, it's not an overnight success, although, people think, oh my goodness, you're here now. And it's like, no, we've been quietly working,
Right.
Behind the scenes. And essentially, our primary resource is being a government contractor. So we are a Native-owned company. My family is tribal. So we have several contracts across the nation with Indian Health Services. Okay. So we staff all of the Native American hospitals.
Wow.
And so we have multiple locations, multiple clients. I'm very proud of that because historically, when I was in school, I wanted to go work on the tribal reservation and be a doctor. Nearly blew up the lab at UC Davis and decided, no, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
You're going to go to administration because, I wanted to be a pediatrician at the time. And it's like, you can't even get through chemistry.
Right.
We're not doing that.
Right now.
So that's how I ended up on the administrative side, just working at a variety of medical centers throughout the years. And it just so happened where I feel like I manifested this years ago, where I wanted to be the doctor, the pediatrician, paying for medical school that way. And I end up in administration, going into the technology side and the staffing side. So I was staffing the nursing unit floors for one hospital for Stanford. Mm-hmm. Then I started getting into the technology side, and for several years worked, with the VHA doing health information exchange. So what that is for the non-technical folks out there is just setting up information where it can be your medical record can be exchanged outside of the VA to other partners in the community, like a Kaiser or a Sutter. So I was on that team, the original team that stood that up for the VA.
Wow.
And then decided that, I wanted to go out on my own, decided to bet on myself. I've always had something going on outside of a 9-to-5. And I always tell people, don't let these folks talk you into quitting your 9-to-5. It is nothing wrong with having a full-time job with benefits that I needed for my son and I to get through life while you continue to quietly build, your empire behind the scenes. There's nothing wrong with a payroll check to get you where you need to be. Yeah. So then with my aunt, we got our first opportunity to be a supplier to some multi-million-dollar nursing contracts out there. So we are we're providing nurses, LPNs, CMAs, CSTs. So just a variety of labor categories to the hospitals. And we're very proud of that. I pride myself on knowing everybody that's in my company. I know my team tells me I'm a little bit controlling, and I am, because... Right. It's like, I need to know every person that we're sending out there to the hospital, because you're a representative of my aunt, right?
Absolutely.
And then I also have to, determine how to show up best for you as the employee as well. Because even though we're contracting staff, we're still people,
absolutely.
and it's hard being, in the labor force. And one thing that I want to, also touch on is the fact that you can't just treat people like warm bodies. I think that a lot of staffing agencies out there is just like, oh, I could build this person out for over $100 an hour, and you just want a warm body, in that position. No. The reason why I am so involved in controlling and knowing who is everyone in the company is because we are sending you out to Native American hospitals. We know the history of tribal country with the United States, right? Mm-hmm. So if you don't have cultural awareness, and I've run into people like that who have been like, they're just people. I'm not going to treat them they're not special. And, I've talked to nurses who have a belief that it's like, there was no cultural awareness there. Mm-hmm. And I just tell them, politely but firmly, you're not a match. Because here's the thing, you have to have some self-awareness. You have to have some cultural awareness, and you have to be respectful of people.
Yeah. And I think that's probably true in every service industry, though, too. And really, it kind of boils down to just the leadership, and the role that you play in the leadership and managing all of that. Funny story, because just sitting here listening to you, like, it's all just super fascinating. I've told you this before, like, I look up to you in so many ways.
Thank you.
And it's funny because, when we met and people would ask, everybody was always worried about what Monique did. Monique would come to the field and she'd be dressed to the nines and she'd be snatched, honey. And we'd be at the football field like, what does she do? People will always ask me, like, what does she do? And I'd be like, Monique to me is like Tommy from Martin. Like, I don't know what she do, but I know she got a job, right? So sitting in this chair and listening to it from that perspective, and just kind of hearing the buildup of how you got into all of that is pretty fascinating for me to hear, because I didn't know that. But you talked about not treating people like warm bodies, and that kind of leads into the next question about what your philosophy is on leadership in a high stakes environment like that. Like, that's got to be so taxing.
It is.
Yeah.
Every day is not, I'm not going to pretend like it's rainbows and it's always rewarding, right?
Yeah.
You're dealing with the public, you're dealing with employment,
The public,
the public,
people.
people.
Ugh.
You're dealing with people, workers, workforce development. And so I will say that I'm a servant leader.
Okay.
Sometimes my team gets on me about being too empathetic, too kind. But I think about it from the standpoint of, what if that was me? I didn't come into this world with a silver spoon. I'm building the table. You know, nobody's bringing me to the table. I'm building my own table. I'm bringing my own silver spoon, right?
I love that.
Okay. So if I'm doing that, I don't want an interaction with me to like discourage somebody to a point to where it takes them over the edge, right?
Right.
So we're gonna have those moments.
Right.
Nobody's perfect,
Mm-hmm.
you know. I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like, you know, I'm the bigger person. Absolutely not. Sometimes I'm gonna take it to hell, depending on what impact you have on the business,
Right.
on the community, because that's the thing. My mother jokingly calls me, my nickname is the militant midget. So is I could be your greatest advocate, or let's do this, because what I don't want going on is somebody coming into my company and you're doing something that's causing harm out in the community.
Oh,
I'm going to
wow.
call you on it. So I say that I'm a servant leader in that I work like this. Okay. So I surround myself with people that I can trust, that I could sleep at night knowing that they're not trying to sabotage the company.
Mm-hmm.
Because one of the things that you have to be mindful of, and we as women have to be mindful of, is we run into misogyny. We run into, you know, all of the isms out there, right?
Yeah.
So proud of you with Greer Construction. Like, that is a male dominated field.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm doing, I had a couple of colonizers, and that's what I call them. Colonizers try to step in when we were selected for our first major contract. They literally called me up and they were like, because they got removed. There was a bigger company, so they want it. There's a law out there called the Buy Indian Act, where the government has to do business with tribally owned companies, just like the VA owned companies, right?
Right.
Veteran owned, excuse me. They called me up and they were like, well, we'll let our nurses stay out there, but we'll give you $10 an hour off the rate. Who are you talking to?
Right. Yeah. It's crazy how that
No.
happens. Yeah. It's
We're not doing any of that.
yeah. It's crazy how that happens, and how as Black women in business, I feel like one of the biggest challenges I face is just getting into this space where if I am defending myself,
Right.
or if I am protecting myself from something like that, then I am automatically looked at as confrontational,
Exactly.
aggressive,
Mm-hmm.
all of these things. And really, it's like, why am I being put in this position
Right.
to begin with, right? To where I have to turn that on, or to where I have to fight in ways that my counterparts don't have to fight. So, so that's huge. And and you're right. In construction, I remember I was working this multi-million-dollar construction defect case for one of my clients. And the lawyers that they hired were somewhere in Southern California, and this is a Northern California property. And I remember ringing the alarm with them going, you know, there are Northern California lawyers that you can hire who are going to do just as good a job for you than these people are. But these people are going to take you to the ringer, you know what I mean? And all of their surcharges and upcharges for traveling and all of these things. And so they were, you know, the lawyer was a little upset with me. And I remember arriving on site and I had all the information for the day. I was walking the lawyers through all of the construction. I'm like, I was on it. I knew it. And they excused me from the site because I was ringing the alarm on them. And I was, you know, and they paid heavily for that. And I always think about that in this field of the things that we deal with. It does not matter how prepared you are.
That's right.
Sometimes it doesn't matter how gifted you are in your respective field. These things just happen, and, you know, just kind of like, how do you navigate that? How do you navigate being called aggressive and, like you said, militant?
Midget.
I love that because you are super short.
Right.
We talk about it all the time.
I was 5'1".
You know, but I love that. I'm 5'9", you know, in some of these spaces, I'm a little statuesque. And so I find myself questioning, like, am I being aggressive? Like, am I being intimidating, or are you just intimidated? You know, and just figuring out ways of how to navigate that and figure that out.
Well, I will tell you this. They want you to start questioning yourself.
Yeah.
Because they're going, you know, you're making them defensive. They want you to start questioning yourself so that you'll start questioning your value, your decision making. And the one thing that I'm learning at this tender age of 54, just turned 54, is my gut may hang, but I trust her. Don't let them tell you any differently.
Oh, man.
Please don't.
Yeah.
Please don't let them make you question yourself.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. I think that if you're a spiritual person, from that standpoint, if you're off track, I think that God is going to redirect you.
Yeah.
You know, because sometimes we are wrong, but we get labeled as aggressive and as too masculine. And it's like, no, I'm not masculine. You're just not used to women speaking up. You're just not used to women being advocates for themselves. If you're not an advocate for you, who is going to be one for you?
Yeah.
And that's why I'm always standing firm on who I am as a woman, 10 toes down. It's like, I may not always be correct, but I keep women around me. I keep very specific women that I go to adjust my crown, because I don't listen to everyone.
Right.
You know, I monitor people and the decisions that they make, right? Because I've been off track before, but I keep women who I trust their judgment and their wisdom when I want to tap in. Because a lot of times when you don't keep people around that can help you adjust that crown, then you're going to be working in in isolation and in a solo, and you're not going to grow.
Right. Yeah. Community is definitely really important. I went to, along those lines, I went to one of your events for my aunt, and this beautiful thing happened. So you have this community of women who show up and support you. And they were talking, we were just sitting back and listening, and they were talking about Monique. Man, Monique has always been this way. Monique was the friend or the cousin, or she would be in the corner reading books, or she would be the one always acquiring knowledge, and she would be, and to hear them talk about you and to hear how much respect they have for you, you know, as a woman, a mentor, a friend, or just even just a sister, you know what I mean? Just someone that they can call and rely on. That's so important. It's so important to have that. So, so I'm happy that you said that, because you definitely have that. I was one of them. Like, yes, that's my girl. Like, I love Monique, and I'm gonna always show up. When, you know, but there's so many other reasons. You know, we've done work for you. You've trusted us in that area. Whenever there is an opportunity that comes up, you always mention our name in rooms that we are not in. And so I think why it was important for me to bring you here today was to have a better understanding of what you do, so that I can return the favor. You know what I mean? And if nothing else, to push this information out there to the world, like, look at this sister, you know, look at what she's doing. Like, we have some beautiful and phenomenal women that we are surrounded by that are doing amazing things like you do every single day. And you were so humble. Like, so anyway, I don't want to, you know, but getting back to it. So I just had to say that, sorry, but you have a son.
Yes.
Right. And you got a son.
My world.
Right. In the same way I got these sons.
Yes.
How is that, like, keeping him on track and still managing like all of these different things that you have going on, you know, as a single mom?
It has been, it's a lot. Yeah. And I will say that even though I've always had like a nonprofit or, some type of side hustle going on outside of, working a 9 to 5. Once I had him, in my 30s. I had him, I think I was 32 when I got pregnant. And then, so I guess that's kind of late by, society standards, but it is what it is. Cause I'm not really a big kid person. That's the joke in the family. I'm like, listen, y'all lucky you got this one. Okay.
Right.
So, I love everybody else's kids, but more than 2 is like AP parenting for me. I can't be outnumbered in the house. Like, we're not doing this. Because,
speak on that.
Right. You are doing it with your 4. Yeah. So I commend you, and girl, couldn't be me, because I'd go out for milk and probably not come home.
Right. Because you're always traveling. That's the other thing I love about you. Monique be on the road.
I do.
Okay.
I do.
I love that.
Yeah. And so I love to travel. I loved exposing or giving him the world by showing him the world. Like, wasn't rich, but at least I could make him rich in experiences. So back to your original question of how did I manage all of that? I literally sat in a job for, 20 plus years, and I made it all about him. Right. Mm-hmm. So when, his dad and we co-parent quite well together. When I needed him at the time, when I would be on the road for my job, he would come over and help with that. Or not help, but basically parent his child, because we always say, oh, can you watch the kid? No, right. That's their father. He was there. I wasn't doing it alone. I had my mom. But one of the things that I told myself, and I think this is the first time I'm saying it out loud, is I said to myself, once my son left and turned 18, it was going to be all about me. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what I've been doing for the last couple years. Once he turned 18 and I was no longer having to, transport him around to games and be involved as the boy sports mom and all of that stuff, I focused on scaling my business. I focused on what type of community work I wanted to do. I'm also asking myself, what's your exit number, girlfriend? Like, if somebody writes you a check today, what would make you go somewhere and sit down on a beach, for a year and then just focus on doing community work?
What is that number?
You really want to know?
Yeah.
Well, I figure I need at least $3 million a year to live off of. Travel alone. I don't need the Gucci, the Prada. I don't need the designer stuff. I gotta be able to stay at the Four Seasons.
Okay.
I need a butler. I want somebody to cook and clean for me. You want to talk about soft life? I want to be the passenger princess. I want somebody driving me around, because I can't parallel park. We know this.
Right.
So I want to.
Right.
I need to be able to say, I'm going to fly you out here. Come finish teaching me how to play spades.
Oh, girl, I'm already on the plane.
Right.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like, okay, I'm averaging, how many years do I have left? Like, if tomorrow was my last day on earth, calculating that based on what are the things that are really valuable to me. And time is and being able to wake up and do whatever I want to do for the day. So even as business owners, I'm picking cotton for Monique. I don't have to be on somebody's time clock at 8:00 in the morning, Monday through Friday, or a 4 10-hour shift that like I was doing, in the past. To me, I'm living a life of answered prayers right now, because I prayed to be able to work from home so I didn't have to put my son in daycare full time. That happened. He's an adult now. He's pursuing sports, doing his thing. Now I can really focus on myself, and that doesn't mean that I'm done parenting. This is a critical time for him, because right now your youngest baby, he still listens to you. This is the age where they don't listen. They need some accountability. Right. They need people around them that are going to continue to sharpen them. Right.
Yeah.
So I have to be engaged. But what I love about where we are with our relationship, I'm starting to treat him like the man that, society sees him as. So we have very different conversations right now. And when I get upset about something and he's coming to me like, well, why are you mad at me? I'm mad about your decision making skills. So that's how I get at him now.
Right.
Is I need you to look at your decisions, because your decisions can either make or break you. Right. So for me, it's really about connecting with him on the level as an adult. Yeah. And I also don't want to be one of those moms who's delulu about her son. Mm-mm. And because I am a little bit, but I'm also not in denial about who my little Libra child is. That's my baby.
Right, right. It's a hard transition.
It is.
You know, as a mom, like, you know, I have 4 boys. Yes. And that transition from guiding them in a way that you're basically telling them, you will do this, you will not do this, right? To let's take a step back and look at these decisions that you're making. Do you think that was the best decision? Do you think that you could have done this differently? How does that play out? That's difficult. And I know I haven't mastered it. I mean, I have 3 grown children and I have a 6-year-old because I lost my mind. I was almost done. Anyway, no, love him. But it's something that I still struggle with, and I know that my husband struggles with, and I often find myself kind of like telling him, like, you can't talk to them like that anymore, or you can't do this and you can't do that, especially the ones who work for us on the construction side of things. And, you know, my husband is always like, yes, like, but you know what I mean? Yeah, like, he, you know. So I know it's hard. It's hard for parents to find that balance and to really, you know, figure out how to transition to being their friend. Right. You know, still providing guidance, but being their friend and making them, you know, cultivating a relationship with them that makes them want to still have hard conversations with you and still want to come to you and not feel judged and all of those things. So, yeah, we're still working that out. But I mean, you know, I love how Kendall honors you and respects you, and even though you don't want to probably know half the things that he tells you, the way that he comes to you for everything and tells you all the things you don't want to know, I often feel that way. Like,
go to your dad.
Hold up, yeah. Like, dad is in the other room, right? Okay, like, you don't even have to go down the street, make a phone call. Like, he's literally sitting on the other couch. Like, please go have that conversation with him. So, that's funny.
It's too much some days. Yeah. I'm like, TMI, hold on.
Yeah.
I'm not your homeboy.
All the days. Yeah. So, we talked about, you know, kind of like your support system. Did you have any mentors like in your family? I'm asking this because mentorship is very important to me. Yes. And, you know, I do my PSAs and I do my work with other young entrepreneurs. That's an area that I'm really starting to grow in and really starting to focus in on. But, and I talk to people about the importance of finding a mentor in your respective areas of business, or, you know, where you're trying to go. So who are your mentors in this sector of business?
Well, you know, it's interesting that you ask me that, because, you know, I tell people all the time, I'm a mama's girl. Like, the cord is still attached. I can't even front. And
you are. No, yeah.
Yeah. And what's crazy is that, I'm gonna get flack for saying this, but I feel like my mom is like the smartest, you know, out of all her siblings.
If you decide later you want to take that out, we can. Yeah.
I'm not. I'm gonna stand on it. But here's the thing. Interestingly, I had a very interesting childhood, and I'm so attached to my mom because I also have a kidney disease, and I was told that I was not going to live past the age of 12. They told my mother this, rather. So they put my death on a calendar, right? And, you know, that's why I make such a big deal about traveling and my birthday. I spent most of my childhood in a hospital, and that woman never left my side. Like, even today, you know, I got to be careful if something's going on with me and I call her. She might end up coming to the house and try to check me into a clinic just to make sure I'm still good. But I say all that to say, I trust my mom. I would say that we are sort of like the first to, you know, really scale a business of this magnitude, because she is definitely behind the scenes helping me with all of that. But what I also do as I continue to grow as a leader, I keep a good therapist and corporate therapist online as well. I check in once a month with someone who's on the outside looking in, because I don't think enough leaders do that. I think that you need to make sure that you have a licensed mental health therapist that you talk to once, twice a quarter to check in and make sure that you're not losing your mind, because it's stressful running a business, right?
Right.
So you also need to be making sure that the decisions and the conversations that you're having with people are really like healthy. Because sometimes we think that we're being, these great leaders, and you find out that, oh, well, that was toxic. Why would you say something like that to another person?
Right.
And what I pride myself on is accountability. Like I'm super hard on myself behind the scenes, and I'm working on that. And what I mean by very hard on myself, I'm always trying to make sure that I treat people like I want to be treated, because and my best friend gets on me about this. That's another mentor that's in my life. You met her, Rashima. She's been at a lot of the business versary parties that we have.
Yes. Yep.
And so just to go down a rabbit hole for a quick second about that, the reason why I host those events and I have you guys come and I don't make it just about my aunt is because I want you to know that you have support out there. I want you to know that there are other people in the room who have dreams, who are struggling just like you are, or, who are wildly successful. And if I think that, you're doing a great job, then I'm definitely going to mention your name in a room full of opportunities. So it's important to me to show people that, we can come together and support one another as community. But you remember what I always say, like towards the end, make sure you do good business. Because if it goes left, you're going to come back to me and be like, Monique, you introduced me to somebody who doesn't do good business, right?
Right.
So I'm going to let you go off and foster and build those relationships, because I'm providing the very thing that I crave as an entrepreneur. I may not be able to trust everybody, but at least I want my community set up to where we all feel like we're mentoring each other. So it's always been my mom, my best friend that I met when in high school. We're still rocking with each other. At the end of the day, it's like I said, always have that third party that you can check in with. Make sure your mental health is good, because people like to get on social media and all this. It's so funny. I'm aging myself when I say this, but when they started talking all that stuff about, oh, you could set up an LLC, you could do this, you could do that. I have been telling people that stuff for free.
You have. Yeah.
For years.
For sure.
For years. And it was like, now it's this whole, oh, the game is to be sold, not told. Excuse me?
Yeah.
And this, and sometimes I get that, you have to monetize your time and anything that you know, and if you're a subject matter expert, I'm always going to promote that with people. But sometimes you got to give out information for free. Not in terms of you being worried about that person competing against you, because what's for you is going to be for you.
It's going to be for you regardless. Yeah, for sure.
Regardless,
yeah,
so
sure.
Construction is not my area. But there are so many, there's millions of dollars in construction opportunities for the Indian hospitals out there. Who do you think I'm going to call? I'm going to call you and say, hey, I can be the prime. Can you sub with me because you're the SME? And I'm going to trust that you're not going to hang my aunt out to dry and not deliver on what you need to deliver. But at the same time, I think that a lot of people, they're so scared that somebody is going to surpass them. I don't care about what you got going on over here.
It's so important that you say that, because we definitely live and abide by that principle.
Yes.
We partner with other contractors. We support other contractors. We refer jobs to other contractors when we know that we can't get to them. One of the important things I think is not just doing good business, but it's also not taking on business that you can't, actually handle, because that's damaging too. It's damaging for your partnerships.
Yes.
It's damaging for, my aunt mentions us in a room and we show up and we say, yeah, we can do that in the back of our, we can't do it. And I always tell you when we have these conversations, if we can't do it, I'm going to tell you we can't do it. If we can't manage that, I'm going to tell you we can't manage that, because again, going back to community and integrity in business, you have to be honest. Mm-hmm. You have to be honest about, what you're able to take on and what's just kind of over your head. So, I appreciate that you said that, because it's so true. And we're constantly managing that, and I think it's so easy to get inundated. And then I start to look at our schedule and I have to pull, even my husband back sometimes, like, we're booked out 3 months. Like, when are you going to fit this in? You know what I'm saying?
He's like, oh man,
we don't have time. So, yeah, that's something that we constantly have to take a look at too. So, do you, and I mentioned earlier that I feel like you're just this incredibly humble person. Do you see yourself kind of as a role model for Black women and young entrepreneurs entering the space?
I do, because y'all are starting to tell me that. I didn't before, because I was so busy being, in my,
doing you.
Just doing me.
Yeah.
And you know how I get. Like, it's like a lot of people think that I'm not paying attention. I am paying attention to what's going on around me, but really, I just really mind my own. I really am about minding my own business.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest with you, the reason why I do that is because I have to protect my peace, because I'm an empath and I can't save everybody.
No.
So it's like, I can't, if you're fiscally irresponsible, I'm going to give you some resources to figure out how to get back on track. I'll support you that way, but I can't solve everybody's problems, so to speak. So I get so, like, I isolate myself to a point sometimes where it's like I forget that there are people that are looking at me, and I'm having a lot of people giving me my flowers lately, and I was like, I had no idea I had that kind of impact on you.
Well,
even men.
Give you your flowers while you here. Okay.
Thank you. And, even some of the men that, have been in my life, like I had a couple of friends call me one time, and I was like, got it. Am I getting ready to get up out of here? What's going on?
Right.
But it really shocked me. One person was just like, I will never, ever forget you, because, you taught me this, and this. You didn't judge me when I didn't have this, and this. You're absolutely right. I'll tell you a quick story. We were just talking about this a couple of weeks ago, my mom and I was acting up. I was in high school, freshman year, went to Bishop O'Dowd, and I was going to school with a lot of kids who had money, like Joe Morgan's daughter. And, so you get around that, and, it's like, I'm a girl that grew up in the projects. My mom was, born in tribal country, but we moved to San Francisco, and so when I tell people I'm literally from like Alamany projects, they laugh, because it's like, there's no way. Yeah, there is a
yeah,
absolutely. So I get into this school, and I'm surrounded by these kids who have all these resources and money, and just decide, how kids are. We start showing, thinking that we're this and that. Baby, my mama pulled me up out of that school so quickly. She was like, no, ma'am.
Since you know every goddamn thing, huh?
You got your degree.
I can see that.
She sent me to Alameda High, a public school. And back then, it was just not cool. It was predominantly, it's not a very diverse school. So, I hated it there. Had some issues with, some of the girls there. And I literally lied. I can say this now. Hopefully the feds won't come get me.
Right.
But I lied to get a job at McDonald's. That McDonald's that's on South Shore, right across the street from Alameda Beach. I just took my son to the beach a couple of weeks ago and showed him, like all this stuff. And I was 13 at the time, going on 14, and went and signed my own application. My mom, I begged my mom to come and, let me go to work. Got a job. Then I applied to go to St. Joe's Notre Dame, the high school, the Catholic high school in Alameda. Got in, begged my mother, told her I would pay my own tuition to go to St. Joe's. Back then it was like $180 a month or something like that. Like, wow. These days it's, you basically gotta
give a kidney,
right? Yeah. Just to go, Yeah. So, she let me do it. I paid my own tuition to go back into Catholic school, and it made me the woman that I am today. Because my mother always told me, "What would you do if there was nobody else around?" So she had to humble me, and I think that's why I'm like humble as an adult. My mom humbled me back in high school. Yeah. She was like, "Oh no, I'm struggling, living paycheck to paycheck to pay for you to go to this school, and you want to act up? No, ma'am." Right. So then when I had to take those resources out of my own pocket, I appreciate everything more. Yeah. I paid my way through UC Davis. I got into Howard, didn't stay out there for medical reasons. But when I came back, like, one thing you will never be able to say about me is nobody handed me anything. I worked, I scrimped, I saved. I have, sat in a house with no PG&E because it was either that or tuition. Like, I was really grinding it out. So you don't get to say that Monique was handed this or handed that. So if you see me driving around in my little Maserati and I'm on the next flight to Phuket, mind your business.
Right. Right. I worked hard to get here.
Because I definitely worked hard to, get here. And that's why I can understand and relate to other people. I'm such an empath and I have so much compassion, when people are going through it and when you're struggling. And I think that's why I'm so addicted to hearing entrepreneurial stories about getting it out the mud. I don't know what that is with me.
Oh, no, it's a thing. It does something, I think, to us all. I mean, my backstory, and yes. I don't want to take up all of your time going through it, but very, very similar stories, yes. Very similar upbringings, and just really not coming from anything. And I always tell, like, even my siblings or young entrepreneurs specifically who come to me and let me know that they're struggling, like, you have to be able to see through that for yes. yourself, yes. And it is so easy to get caught up in whatever is going on in front of you that you can't see through it. But, and I recently even did a PSA about it. Just, you got to be able to see through it. You do. Because if you can't see through it, then you can't navigate your way through it. And that's, that's going to be detrimental to your overall success and how you come out in the end. So, yeah, this is why I wanted to do this. And this is definitely why I want to sit down with you today, because there are a lot of us moving out there, getting it out the mud. And I think what separates those who are successful in that and those who aren't are those who keep going. I always say that, be encouraged and keep going. Like, yes. There's going to be setbacks. There's going to yes. be things that do not go your way. And, like, how do you respond to that?
Exactly.
Right? And we get so caught up. We teach that to our kids.
We do.
And then we forget, lose our damn mind when something happens in our world or in our business that doesn't pan out. We lose our mind. So we're coming up to our time, and I do want to pay homage to your strategic alliances, to Hospitals Without Borders and Frenetic. Please tell me about them and how that partnership came to be.
So I met, I always seem to run into some amazing people in this journey. And the gentleman who is one of the co-founders of Hospital Without Borders, his name is Fuad, and he came up with this amazing idea to build out modular clinics. It's a nonprofit organization. They are... They're mission driven to provide clinics. You can stand them up in like a matter of days, versus waiting for a medical center to be built out. Right. So with everything that's going on over with the Israel-Palestinian conflict, there's been some conversations about, can we get modular clinics out there? There are other countries that have a health crisis, such as Jamaica. There's just a variety of opportunities. And how I came to get involved in it is, my connection with the tribes. So we were talking, to see if there was an opportunity for us to stand up some of those clinics at the tribal reservations. And then I was asked to be a part of their advisory board. So I agreed. So that was, very humbling. And I was, definitely wanting to be a part of that. I invited them to our booth. I showcased the company at a conference called HIMSS. So it's a health IT. It's one of the largest in the world that happens every year. So I invited them to that booth. And as a result, the people that I met at that conference, it has evolved into something amazing that we're working on behind the scenes. I can't get into it right now because I'm under an NDA, but we are working on some things that could actually change, like, how people manage their healthcare. And where Frenetic comes in, that particular relationship was brought to me by somebody else who I've worked closely with, and he's has an incredible background, used to work with Microsoft, basically captured him up and said, you got to come. I need you on my team. So in working with him, he's working with the doctor who is focused on precision medicine. So I'll give you a quick example because I know we got to wrap this up. But if back in the day, if 53 years ago, when I was 8 months old, when I got diagnosed with my kidney disease, we had technology that you could either swab or do some testing or genomic testing, and the doctors could tell my mom right then and there, your daughter has focal glomerulosclerosis. That's the name of the disease that I have, which means that I have one working kidney. If they could have told her that back in the day, instead of like the scientific wild guessing that was going on,
Right.
We probably would have been further along in terms of treatment and everything else. And that's what her technology is doing. Like, she can literally predict and tell you precisely, based on your DNA, the genomics that you've got, what you're at risk for and how to treat it. So it's more preventative. And you're talking like people who may not even know that they're going to be diabetic in years to come. And we know that's more of like a behavioral disease. You have to modify your behavior. My son's father is diabetic. Had he discovered that, when we were married, if he could have known beforehand,
Right.
Something like that. So I'm really proud of being at the table with people who are doing advanced things in healthcare and technology. So I want to keep, being a part of those conversations. I want my aunt to make an impact. I want my aunt to be the front runner of all of this stuff and bringing it to the community. But like I tell everybody, you come to me because we are a tribal company that's been entrusted with at Indian Health Services. Make sure you're not a Trojan horse. Don't use my aunt to get into the reservations and do harm.
Right.
So I'm very, very committed to vetting everyone before bringing them to any type of tribes and making sure that, we're doing right by all the communities out there.
Yeah, that's important. It's important for your legacy too, which was, kind of my last question is just what kind of legacy would you like to leave behind? And I know that you've kind of already touched on that, but it's bigger than just Monique and my aunt and everything that you are pushing to accomplish and do. I mean, and I know Frenetic, they used, was it like AI technology to do some of the work that they're doing? And that's kind of like a big thing that's coming up too.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, it's just important to be a part of it. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
I know you told me you're proud. I'm proud of you. And just all the things that you're doing. I wish we had more time to talk about STEM Bella, because that's just, that's another piece of, a Black woman in STEM research.
Yeah.
Like, do you know another Black woman in STEM research? Like, you're so incredible. So when we do our follow-up series, I forgot to ask, we will talk about STEM Bella as well. So
yes.
Any last thoughts, any advice you can give to women in the healthcare field or entrepreneurs stepping into any entrepreneurial space, about just how to push through some of the things that we've talked about?
I would say, in terms of advice, last words, legacy, keep going. Don't let nobody tell you that you can't do anything. Because here's the thing. If you have a dream inside of you, and I think this is more of a cliche, right? God is not asking you how much money it's going to take to build out the dream. What's the dream, and keep focused on it. You know, I think sometimes we get distracted by, oh, I don't have any money. Stop talking from a poverty mindset. I had to learn that. I came from poverty. So to be able to pivot and understand that it's resources out there, pray for alignment. Pray that you are aligned with the right person, the right people, the right opportunities, the right spaces. Because one thing that you're going to be surprised at is if you also, you know, say out loud, keep yourself invisible to people who don't mean you any good.
Yeah.
You'll be real surprised who falls off around you. It's sad, but it's true. But
It's
it
important,
makes space. It makes space for the people who are supposed to be around you.
Right.
And that's the thing that, you know, I want to leave everybody with, is that you have to understand that it's all about alignment, and it's all about visibility. The right people at the right time are going to show up for you. You just got to make sure that you're ready and not sabotaging your opportunities, and you're living right. And you're living right to make sure that, you know, it continues on. If opportunities keep getting away from you, start looking at, what are you leaving behind? What seeds are you planting for it to keep going left?
Right.
So that's my goal, is to make sure that everybody knows, you know, who my aunt is. We're here to do good. And, you know, personally and privately, I just want to make sure I wake up every day and be the best version of Monique that I can possibly be. And even when I'm not feeling my best, it's okay. I know I can start over the next day.
Wow. Well, thank you for that. Thank you so much for sitting down with me today. And thank you for your intentional, bold, and unapologetic leadership in this area. Thank you.